I muted my thingy face.
And we are live, it seems. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit slow because OBS is not my greatest friend today. Welcome, everyone. I've got with me John, and I've got with me Real Raven, and I've been told that the lovely Alicia will join us as well. And when we will actually start to do what we were planning to do, we will talk about the beauty that is Margaret Atwood. Yes, that's sarcasm. I can't do a straight face with that one. She gave an interview at the BBC, and we're going to talk about that one in a moment when everyone is good and ready. Good day there, Anxious. Good day there. I hope you're still there, Nick. And hi there, Ludicrous. That was a great clip you posted not too long ago, by the way, Ludicrous. I do like those old comedians. Well, he wasn't old, but the clip was old.
Isn't it ironic? That was a great clip.
Ironic? It was brilliant. No, it's not ironic.
It's bloody stupid.
But it's a great clip. And I can remember having seen it years ago on the BBC. And it's bloody brilliant. It's so brilliant. So I have to thank you very much for sharing that one with us, Ludicrous Leprechaun. It was brilliant. Thank you. So now, how long are we going to wait before we start talking about Miss Atwood and her dystopic view?
Oh, a few minutes. Always. Yeah, I was chatting with Ludicrous Leprechaun about Alicia's suggested I do some videos on the history of computing. And Ludicrous Leprechaun suggested, and I won't say who he mentioned, I do a Turing test with somebody.
Okay. Do me. I'm a computer scientist.
No. The whole point of a Turing test is to find out if who you're interacting with is actually a person. Now, if you do it with someone who is actually a person, it kind of defeats the object. And so I thought, but a leprechaun isn't a human.
That's true.
So we are vaguely conjecturing doing a Turing test.
Yeah, you have to do it over the chat though, because you can't invite him on the Hangout, because then you'd hear his voice and that would prove that he's a human.
No. You've heard him.
Yeah, I know. But can you do that live?
Look, he's a leprechaun. No one's saying he's dead.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway. Well, we don't know, but no. Well, the whole point is it has to be done interactively, because it's about the whole point about the Turing test is the interaction.
Yeah. That's why I said you can do it over the chat.
But well, I don't know. I think we might be able to do something with something. Hello, Alicia, by the way.
Hi.
Are we live yet?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, we are live. Oh,
yeah. We are live.
Whether we are live.
I saw your video, and I like when they said we're talking about Atwood. I said we have to invite you because you did a lovely video on it, and you've also intimately knowledgeable about you actually have watched this trash, and you like it even. So that's great. I don't know. I haven't watched it, so I have no opinion on it.
That's a good one, Ludicrous.
And what I did is I hurried and reviewed the book. And I watched the video that she was talking about. So now I understand the premise behind what she was saying. And so that's what I wanted to share with you guys. But let me, because I'm in the middle of doing stuff for Raven, so I'm trying to get on the stream on my phone so I can be mobile. That's
all right.
what I'm trying
to used to it. I mean, that's women on streams. They always are multitasking, right? They always have to do things, like multiple things at the same time.
Well, it's my phone's being stupid because I already have the app. But what I was going to tell you is what's most important that's in the book that is just vaguely covered in the series on TV. So what it is there was this the girl, the main lady, and her husband. They were deeply religious people, And so they would go give really big rallies and speeches, and they said that the earth was being punished, thus not having babies, because everybody allowed for all of, the sodomites and the gays and everything, right? So you're evangelicals, right?
Yeah.
And throughout the book, they're sitting there saying that they were trying to shut them down. So the left, right, was trying to shut the right down in the book, and they ended up shooting the woman, the religious woman, the main character woman. Mm-hmm. And in doing that, it propelled them forward. So then there was a big vote, and they voted in this president and a bunch of other people that were all like her. And overnight, they fired every woman. They seized all women's bank accounts. They took their money unless they had a husband. They outlawed being gay. It was just like an overnight thing. So it went from, it's kind of like what happened with the Muslim Brotherhood in Iran. Was it Iran? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So just imagine that all at once, but the story is set in not too distant future America. So basically like kind of probably 5 years from right now. And that's what she meant by everything changed overnight, because in the book, everything did change overnight because we didn't shut down the religious regressive right that were saying that all this free sexuality was a problem. Mm-hmm. So it kind of is the same, kind of, I guess, but we can have babies and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this is the thing, and I put this under your video as well.
You're forced to have babies, is it? You're not able to refuse. If you're one of the few who's fertile, you're forced to, isn't it?
Yeah, but
that's the question: is what would society do if? I mean, there's only literally a handful of women left in the world that can have babies.
Well, what would you do if you were one of the women?
Well, it would be up to you. Isn't it your duty?
And would you turn around? Would you turn around and say, no, I really want to? I know I'm one of the few fertile women, but my heart is really set on studying gender studies.
Well, that's why that's why they slowly were firing all the women, right? But the majority. But the thing is the majority of the girls that were able to have babies were either gay or were high career-oriented women. There was literally no women that would naturally be like, yeah, sure, let's pump them out. If I was a character in the book, I would probably be sterile.
This is so weird, because that is probably that is already the first problem I have with suspending disbelief, that exactly the women who are the most fertile are the ones that are also the most radical, because I don't think that works that way in nature. If you love little babies or whatever, then you're not gonna go into this other shit. I don't think so.
Well, there's another main problem with the whole story of women being enslaved to have children.
I'll be right back. Sorry, I'll listen.
Okay. The first problem there is, if only a handful of women are able to have children, those women will be revered, not enslaved.
Well,
but there is a culture that will enslave women, and it's not Christianity.
I would say ultimately they would probably be revered, but I could imagine that initially you could have this thing of a coup, you could have this thing that they're like just a resource and they need to be captured, So I think that initially you would have this. What I think is that the system, as it was thought out by Margaret Atwood, is not sustainable. It could work maybe for a couple of years, and then it would go in a completely different direction.
I sincerely believe that even for a couple of years it won't work.
Well, there is a thing. There is a possibility of power. If you think about it, there's a possibility. There's a communist regime that can take over, for instance, or a fascist regime. Yeah, that is. We've seen this time and time again.
That fascist regime will then be run by women and not by men. because women are the ones that have the power. Can you imagine? I mean, back in the days, and we're talking about hunter-gathering time back in the days, people already recognized that you can have a tribe or a group of people, say like 10 men, 10 women.
Yeah.
Now, if that tribe would lose 9 people, it is better to lose 9 men than lose 4 men and 5 women. Because 1 man and 9 women can build up a tribe pretty fast.
Yeah.
But the more men you have and the less women you have, the tribe will not grow.
But I think you're making a mistake, because I think you're conflating two things, and one is power and the other one is value. You know, the women may be very, very valuable, but it doesn't necessarily follow. Like maybe in a free society it will follow that will give them power. But in a completely regulated, overpowered society, you know, where a lot of pressure is, where there's a lot of structure, then you would not necessarily equate value with power.
I'm not quite sure though.
It's like you could be a captive, let's say, an ant queen, right?
Yeah.
Or a queen bee. Yes, you can have all these children and you fed all this food and whatever, you know. But at the end of the day, you're not free to leave. You know, especially when you look at an artificial hive. If you look at an artificial hive, then the queen is not allowed to leave. She's confined to the lower
but that's true
levels.
For anything. That's true for the king as well.
Yeah, true. This is not like I'm not meaning this at the moment as a as a victim kind of Olympics between genders. Just generally, I would say that if you have a class of people, and if I think the idea with Margaret Atwood's thing is that it's a really classist society. You got first of all, you got the rich people, and then you got fertile women, and you got infertile women. And she places the infertile women into more like as a resource to be milked, you know, like cows, you know. So they say, these are my cows, we own them, and then we breed them, you know, like animals almost, you know. So you could say that, like if you suspend disbelief, you can say, you're very valuable to us as a cow, making calves or making, like, you know, as a breeding thing, but you're not valuable at all to us as an intellectual force, as if, you know, so we're not going to listen to you. We're just going to watch you pop out these children, you know. And that's one thing. The one thing that I cannot really believe so much is that the women that were made these kind of artificial wombs, or these givers of life, they were also enslaved, like a cheap kind of what you call it, servant, you know. I would have said, like, okay, you concentrate on getting the kids, and then you get the best food and the best everything, the best resources, the best bed in the house, because it's really important, that job, you know. So you can't just be. That's ludicrous, you know. You're fertile, so you need to just do the one job, and that's just having the kids, you know, and bring them up, you know. And anything else will take off your hands. We can't have you, like, you know, go out in the whatever, scrub the radioactive walls or whatever is in. That's ludicrous. That makes no sense whatsoever, you know. You would enslave maybe the women that, if you were that, like, mean, and say there's no real value to these women because they're not fertile, you'd enslave them. But you wouldn't enslave the actual life givers. You just, like you said, you revert them. Would it necessarily mean that they have deciding power, though, like a political deciding power? Would you tell them, okay, now you can make laws or whatever? That's the question.
No, that's not the question at all. Because do you really think that a group that becomes so important for the survival of society doesn't have that power?
I don't know. I mean, if you supervise them very closely and make sure they can't kill themselves, then what can they do?
The question is not
especially if it's a small group
No. The main mistake you're making is that their power is taken away by preventing them from killing themselves.
Yeah, because what else can they do?
That's not true, though. What's their power? Their power is that they can give life.
Yeah, but
so you need to protect the life they are giving from the power of them to take it away. And there is simply there is one way to do that. That's to keep them bound. Literally.
Yeah. Chain them up.
Chain them up. But then chain them up so that they can't even touch their own body. But then the stress will...
Sorry, Modway. Except that if you treat them stressfully, their ability to breed would be severely hampered.
Yes, that's the point. So there is no way you can empower the ones in power over them. They have the ultimate power. No matter how...
Well, it's not power. Yes, I think maybe it's just a semantic thing, but I would say, give them the best food, give them the best luxuries or whatever, but is that power? That's the question.
Yes, it is, because they are in control, because if they are stressed, it will hamper their ability to give children...
But that's... Again, you use words like power and control, but if it's somebody who is like really rich and he's being fed and everything is made for them, they don't even have to wipe their own arse, are they really powerful?
Yes, they are.
You know... I think that especially like somebody like that, let's say a heir to a real huge amount of money is not powerful at all. They're powerless.
Hold on, let me interject here though. The piece that everybody is missing in the stories and everything like that is the women that are fertile. Like, as I said, the majority of them are gay, right? So they don't even want to have children. And then the ones that are straight, they didn't want to have children either. So the whole premise of the book is trying to showcase that women really don't want to have babies, and the only reason we have babies is because men force us to. It's some kind of
load of bollocks.
Which is bollocks.
Well, but that you obviously know. But also, it was the women in the book that brought about the enslavement of the women to steal the women's babies.
Yeah, because women do want to be mothers. Funny enough.
Well, and the evolutionary urge to perpetuate your genes in the species is the only reason any one of us on the planet today, all 7.5 billion of us, is even alive. Yeah. So, like...
That's true. Alicia, how did you explain how they got to the point that that all the women, or especially the fertile women, were gay? Was it a genetic thing, or was it societal, or was it not explained at all?
Wait, sorry, I missed that. What did you say?
Like how come all these women were gay? Was that explained in the books? Is there like a premise? Is it like culture war, or is it?
No. So what it was is that it was just like a fluke, right? So imagine the entire world, and then all of a sudden people are stopped having baby. Nobody's fertile, and of the group of, it's like 100 of them. That's it that can have babies, and so I don't think all 100. I'm saying, but the ones that they feature are the gay ones. That's the ones they feature. So like June is the main character, right? She had a baby with a black man, which is why I was saying I told John that I couldn't really cover that because I realized it's old school feminism because
it's racist.
Well, no, not
that's a joke. Sorry.
The part where there were all the black women were the servants to the rich white women, but yet if you were fertile and black, you could be part of the Scarlet Crew. But what happens if you have a black baby girl and she's not fertile? Does that mean she all of a sudden becomes a slave?
The whole thing's bollocks. So.
Well, I know the whole thing, but that's when you start realizing that there's not intersectionality, and then come to find out that the white woman stole the black man from his black wife.
Okay, I mean, it sounds like what you're describing are like a technical problem with caste systems, because it's almost like a caste system, isn't it? It's like an Indian caste system that you're describing.
Well, she's introducing a racist aspect when I don't really. I mean, these things are so North American. Because for the rest of the world, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, we're colorblind.
No. Okay, I could say it this way. It's like the British and the Irish. How the Brits with the Irish.
Oh, right now, no problem.
Or how the Brits treated the Scots, or how the French treated
Now John understands.
you guys are racist, but you are. I mean, but technically, but no, I'm saying is that it's not only isolated to America. So you've got seven different skin types, and you guys are the ones. Trotsky was the one that actually pushed this whole racist ideology.
You're blaming the Russians.
It's the whole concept of that decided to say white man, yellow man, black man, and we're all racist.
I have to disagree with you on that one, Alicia, because the concept of racism is relatively new, but what it's based on is in-group, out-group dichotomy, and that is as old as time itself, or at least as old as humans have been around.
I'm just saying is that John is being high on his morals that...
I wasn't. I'm phoning you. I'm just finding... Look, I'm just... and it wasn't you. It was Margaret Atwood for making that a thing. Because my whole point is this. If you had a severely curtailed breeding population, you wouldn't give a shit about anything else. Things like race would not be a factor. You would not even think
Okay, wait. The premise of her book was to say that the very fact that women have to give birth is oppressive. It is actually, she is literally
exactly.
That's the only premise of the book.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my point. And that's my point, Alicia. That premise, okay, take it or leave it, is one thing. But then she's not followed it through and said, okay, if the ability to have children is what's important, all other concerns drop by the wayside. No one would care less about race or anything else. You would have breeders and non-breeders. Those would be the two classes.
There's actually an evolutionary reason for this. A very interesting show I saw. Edward Dutton, I don't know if you know him. He's called the Jolly Heretic. He's got a YouTube channel, Jolly Heretic, and he does a lot of these, covers a lot of these subjects. But what's very interesting, when you go as a young man and you go to war, or let's say you're in a big family and your brother marries, you can help your brother marry and get kids, and you will propagate your genes by your brother marrying, because you have a great kinship of your genes within your family. But that actually extends to larger and larger groups. So if you can't do that with your family, you can do that with, let's say, the people in your village. You can do that with the white people, or with the English, let's say. But you can extend this circle ever so more, and you can actually say this. Although I'm white and this man or woman is black, they're part of my genetic pool. And I think that in a time when there's only 100 fertile women, you would your genome would gladly say, okay, that's part of the big genome. This is my brother. So if this person gets a child, that's like me getting a child. My genome is being propagated. It's called group propagation or something like that. I don't know. There's a word for it, but it's really interesting because it explains a lot of things, like, young men going to war and dying. It's actually genetically makes sense. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, you do it to protect your brother.
Yeah, but that is only for the men. That's not for the women.
But
yeah,
that's
it's just
the problem.
it's an aspect.
No. This is an important thing, because what you're touching on is true. When it comes to protecting the in-group, women are far less likely to do so than men. Now, one could argue whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but women are far less likely to do so than men. And this is the interesting.
This is understandable. Because
this inverts her narrative. Because she's saying it's the men who are doing the things that it's actually women who would do.
Indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, because women are at the direct source of the genome. They are an expression of the genome. They can actually propagate the genome by getting kids. Men cannot do that.
This is something.
They can only contribute to it.
No, I understand what you're saying, and this is true. But when it comes to propagation of the species, or when it comes to offspring, men look into a partner to find someone to raise a child with. Men are quite simple. They have to like the woman. The woman has to be able to carry a child, and that's about it. Whereas women,
and then get the next one.
One moment.
The next one.
One moment. This is important because this is the whole basis of the problem. Men do not look for providers. Men do not look for givers of safety.
Yeah.
Women do.
Yeah, that means women are case strategy and men are strategy.
No, that's bullshit because we're both. The species has an R or a K strategy. It's not men or women.
No, it is actually gendered.
No, it's not.
But
this is a different topic. Real Raven, this is a different topic. Let me finish the point I was trying to make. Men do not look for women to protect the offspring. Women look for protection in the man. This is why hypergamy is such a big deal. And we can especially see this, for example, when countries are at war. Women are far more likely to attach themselves to enemy combatants than men are. It's not a positive or negative thing. It's not look at how traitorous these women are. That's nothing to do with it. It's purely about providing safety.
Actually, it's genetic, and it's the difference between men and women. They found through science, real science, that the dorsal vagal complex is what does that. So the very primal part of the brain, everybody thought that before the polyvagal theory, everybody thought, right, that it was fight or flight. But in the primitive mind, the dorsal vagal complex, if the man is so afraid, he will freeze up, whereas a woman will try to seduce. So it's science. It's not that she wants to be there, but that's her instinct, and that's where the book actually doesn't understand science, because all of June, the main character, she could have easily taken over that household, got that other chick kicked out, and had a free ride.
And there you have it. Because this is the thing. Once a woman binds herself to the enemy, so to speak, she has influence over that enemy, because men will always be influenced by the women they attach themselves to. For example, this is a very old story, but in the ancient times, in the Viking times, women did not have a right to speak at a thing or an all thing. Basically, the thing and the all thing are the democracy of the time, so to speak. Women did not have a right to speak at these events. But the story goes, poor a woman is if she cannot get her husband to speak for her. And this is true.
Question on the Margaret Atwood thing again, just again for Alicia, because she's more intimate with the series. Weren't there these fertile women were assigned to very rich, powerful houses, and there would usually be a husband and a wife that were infertile, right? Or at least the wife was infertile. Did she have power? Did she have a say? Was she like a ruling class member?
So what it was is, okay, so the ones in power are the religious ones, right? And a group of women, this entire scheme, this entire change of the guard, turning it into a communist fascist nation, was actually women. So these rich and powerful, really smart women, religious women, went out and found these men when they were all teenagers, and they basically groomed these men to take over the country because they thought they were being religiously diligent. So the women brought about the true thing. So when it finally comes time to the actual breeding partners, right? So the rich women and the rich men that were religiously devout. So they weren't rich before, but they became rich because they took over everything.
This is fascinating.
So they're very devout. But what happens is once the girls are with their husbands, some of the girls, the husbands end up liking the girls better. So it puts this kind of war going on. And none of the girls are allowed to learn how to read. And the main girl that started everything, the main religious girl, she actually was fertile, but she was shot in her uterus. And she can't have kids, not because God didn't choose her not to have kids, but because the radical left shot her. Right? So she's very devout to this religious rite. I'm just using words so we can understand it. And so what happens, though, is her husband finally starts living the way that she told him to. She asks them to give girls the right to learn how to read. And in response, he beats her for it, like gives her a spanking, a paddling. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, I was such a fool. I ushered in this. And then she's all of a sudden helping the girl that had the baby. It's such a joke. It literally,
but
it's like this weird psycho thing where it's women against women, and the men were only powerful because of the women. But then the men got it to their head, and they're oppressing. It's just really weird.
But before you started to talk about the conflict between the two girls, the more I thought about it, the more I thought maybe she's not that far off the truth, because there is a dichotomy between traditional trad women and the learned kind of, I'm not saying powerful, but I'm saying the intellectual elite of women who does gender studies, and so there seems to be a similar kind of dichotomy, like a Spannungsfeld,
No, you're actually right really on the money, Real Raven, because if you go back in time, so she wrote this 30 years ago. So think about the two powerful feminists, that the dichotomy of them, that the Paglia, and what's the other girl's name? So you remember the video where it shows that Paglia?
Yeah, Camille Paglia.
Yeah. Camille, let's call her Camille, where she's all for pedophilia and the queer theory. And then some of the other feminists, so actually 30 years ago is right when you had this huge split between the feminists. You had some that went towards the queer theory, some that stayed on the path of feminism, and then others that went off to the intersectional feminism. So it made Yeah, it was. It started about 30 years ago.
No. It started longer ago than that.
I know it started longer ago, but that's when they got enough power to make it worth writing about, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what she was seeing. She considered, so the feminists, if you have the feminist split, then your true enemy is going to be you're going to be more angry at the women than the men, because they're not just your enemy, they're traitors.
And there you have it. But the story makes it so different.
Yeah, sorry.
Anyway, should we, because the whole idea is that she gave an interview, and with I mean Margaret Atwood. Should we start talking about what she had to say?
Well, can you quote her? I haven't really read the interview, so maybe you should.
Can you play the thing? Can you play it?
We can play the thing. Go on then.
Okay, play it, and I'll be listening.
Here we go.
For years and years, people were saying,
"Well, no,
I can't sequel, please write a sequel."
Can you guys hear?
I can hear it.
And I always said I can't do that because.
I'm sorry. Can anyone hear what's going on?
Stop.
Because
can
I
you share the screen in the Hangout?
Yeah, share your voice meter and I'll help you.
No, and the frigging video.
You gotta be joking. Guys, can you hear me at
I told you
all?
about this, about sharing the video in the Hangout before we streamed.
Yeah, in OBS we see this lovely Viking ship. Oh, now we can see her.
No, she's there in the thing, but that is a distraction because we need to see what Modway's doing now. In the Hangout.
You're asking too much. Why don't you open a second window with the stream, John?
No. Real Raven. That is in the past. I need to see what he's doing in real time. All he has to do is screen share in Hangouts. It's not hard.
Yeah, I'm afraid he's screen sharing on the stream now, though.
Yeah, it's fine. That's fine. But he can screen share in Hangouts. Just in the Hangout. Modway, share your fucking screen. It's not hard.
Poor Modwayne.
Look, I can see the Hangout. Go up to the top right corner, click on the 3 ellipses, share your screen.
Okay, so nothing should be broadcasting now.
I just want you to share your
But
screen
something is.
in Hangouts so I can see the video in real time as we're talking about it instead of in the past.
We got a lot of dead air. It's lovely mount bunnies, though.
I honestly don't know how hard 3 clicks of a computer mouse.
No, I think it's complicated because he has to also man OBS. You see?
No, all he has to do is go to Hangouts and the screen showing the interview in the Hangout. That's simple. 3 mouse clicks.
Yeah, and stop sharing the Hangout on OBS. That's because that's what you're doing right now. You're capturing the Hangout in some way.
Yeah, you don't want the Hangout in OBS. You want the interview in the Hangout.
Yeah, so the other way around. So stop capturing the Hangout in OBS first of all. Audio settings in any way?
It's not Windows 10. It's Modwayne's brain.
Yeah, but you're only pressurizing him. That's not going to help him.
No, I know, but the point is, it's very frustrating when someone doesn't do something very.
This is weird.
Simple.
Yeah, John, but you're just adding to the.
I'm not sure if anyone in Hangout can see me, but I'm not
So what we can
hearing or seeing everything.
Yeah, on the Hangout window you have a 3-dot icon on the top right, and then there's share screen. Do that, and we'll be able to see the video in live.
Real Raven, can you look at the text in Hangout? Because I clicked something there as well. I simply cannot hear any of you guys. And I have no idea why.
Did you mess with voice meter?
I keep broadcasting though. No, I didn't mess with more voice meter. I didn't change anything.
That's weird. Is the video playing at the moment?
I'm not playing the video. The video is turned off. Stream, can you hear me now? Because I'm trying to talk to the guys. Can I share voice meter? Yeah, I can, mate. There you go.
Okay, that's better.
Now, it seems that the master selection, everything is being broadcasted.
Okay, let me see.
Okay, hi there, Carlos, by the way. Thank you for telling me. I have no idea what went wrong now. All I did was turn on this bloody BBC thing, and then, boom, everything went haywire.
Let's see, OBS. Oh, Carlos, hi.
It's quite annoying because we tried to have everything set up a moment ago, but for some silly reason, we didn't. So there is that. Guys, you're looking at it as it happens.
Yeah.
Okay, that's better. I haven't changed anything, so I'm not sure what's better. I can still not hear any of you, by the way.
Okay, yeah, so, yeah, oh, shit. It makes it hard. Okay.
It's OBS. He has the wrong audio source selected.
He can only hear you, and you cannot hear us.
What do you mean he has the wrong audio source selected? What do you mean, Michael? Switch to the one below. This one.
In chat says
This is me. The bottom one is me, right? Michael? I'm trying to listen to you, Michael. I am. Can't hear anyone else.
okay.
But apparently no one else is being heard. I'm the only one, apparently. Oh, this is great. We had to fix everything a moment before stream. Everything was going well until I started playing a bloody video.
The second
Okay, Michael, tell me.
middle channel in voice meter. John, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Try A1.
So here's the weird.
Okay, now at least I can hear you guys. There's that.
Okay, so that's the first thing. Or A1, right? The A1 button, Modwayne. That's
Yes.
you auditioning, you hearing us.
Okay.
A2, I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure. B1 and B2. B1 is you broadcasting to the Hangout, and B2 is you broadcasting to the world. That's it.
Okay.
Okay?
Fair enough.
Right. So next thing is I can see your screen. So you should be able to, if you play and on that screen where you see voice meter, if you play the video on that screen, then we will be able to see it live as well.
I don't know what you mean now.
Look, I'm looking at your screen right now, and I see your voice meter window.
Yeah.
If you can play the Margaret Atwood video on that screen, then we will be able to see the video live. That's what John was asking for.
Yeah, but how will that affect? Okay, let me try because I'm not.
It won't affect OBS. It's just that we can see it.
Yeah, but a moment ago, sound died, and when I do this, I can't see the. Well, I turned on the sound and everything died.
I don't think that everything died. I mean, it's just A1 versus A2, right? Just play a bit and see if you can hear it.
Okay, but I can't see the chat now, so someone else has to tell me what's going on in the chat.
Forget about the chat. Let's just fix the sound and then we'll do the chat. Okay, I can hear her. Can you hear her, John? Yeah. Okay, cool. So now stop, Modwayne. If you can hear it, just stop it. Can you hear us?
Yeah, no, I could hear you and I could hear the video.
Yeah, okay, so everything works. That's fine. So we can continue. And I can also see Margaret Atwood on the stream window, so it's also playing there. The last question is stream. Can you hear the video playing? I think there's a 30-second lag.
Yeah, there's a huge lag.
It's highly complicated. Just, damn fucking YouTube. Why did they take Hangouts away?
So they can't hear the video.
Okay, now let's see. Get your voice meter thing again.
1 second, because now I have to open the bloody Hangout thing again. Where are you? There you are. Stop this one.
It would be easier if you shared the whole screen than just a single video, a single application. You know, that'd be easier for us at least if you share that on Hangout, because then I can see the voice meter on top of the thing, the video. Okay, so
I have 2 screens, so that's not going to happen.
sorry?
I have 2 screens, so that's not going to happen. I can't fit 2 screens in one screen. Well, I can, but won't make it any easier.
Don't know, but you could put both the voice meter banana and the video on the same screen, could you not?
Wouldn't it be easier to put these 2 things at the same screen so we can see what's going on?
Yeah, depends. Now let's see. So we are on B2, right? Well, then you have to probably switch on B2 for the video as well on the first channel.
Oh, probably. Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
and then play the video and see what happens. I think B2 is the world and B1 is us. Something like that.
I have no idea. I have no idea. Okay.
Just play it, and we'll test it with the chat now, with the stream now.
Yep. Going to play it. Going to put it back to the front. This is a little bit.
I'll mute myself.
For years and years, people were saying, will there be a sequel? Please write a sequel. Tell us what happened. And I always said, I can't do that, because I thought they meant, and they did mean, could you continue the story of Offred and what happened to her.
You can hear Raven. You could hear. Could you hear the video?
Yes, he just typed. He can hear it now. So B2, that's the world.
Okay,
so
but now I'm
available to the
echoing.
world too.
Apparently now
B2 B2 is YouTube and B1 is us.
Yeah, but I mean, the story goes that now I'm echoing, if I'm saying that correctly, right? Well, it's working. Let's continue then, for fuck's sake. Welcome back to the stream where nothing interesting ever goes wrong. Anyway, so do we start over again, or can we say, you know what, we heard the first bit, she wants to...
No, start over. I was so distracted.
Okay, start over. Okay, here we go. How is the volume, by the way, people? Is it good? Puppies. That's
Rabbits.
Rabbits are better than puppies. I agree.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, play it.
Okay.
Go for it.
For years and years, people were saying, will there be a sequel? Please write a sequel. Tell us what happened. And I always said, I can't do that because I thought they meant, and they did mean, could you continue the story of Offred and what happened to her? And I couldn't recreate that voice. It would have been folly to attempt it.
Okay. Now, we've talked about the whole Offred thing and why echo volume is good. Am I echoing now too, by the way? Probably.
No, you're not echoing at all.
No, not on Hangouts, but am I echoing in the stream?
I wouldn't think so. That's not possible.
Okay, so anyone want to prove real Raven wrong? Okay.
Yeah, Modwayne, don't mess with the stuff. Just don't touch now.
I didn't do nothing. It wasn't me. I swear.
No, because the rest of us are all there.
Yeah, we're just sitting ducks here.
Anyway.
So Renovatio would like you to start the video again, please.
Oh, one more time, okay.
Well, no, I mean, to be fair, we're supposed to be analysing what she's saying.
Yeah,
and
it's true. I mean, I didn't pay attention at all.
Again?
No.
Here we go again.
Okay, third time.
Oh, you are echoing only a tiny bit, they say.
A tiny bit, okay. Well, there we go.
For years and years, people were saying, will there be a sequel? Please write a sequel. Tell us what happened. And I always said, I can't do that because I thought they meant, and they did mean, could you continue the story of Offred and what happened to her? And I couldn't recreate that voice. It would have been folly to attempt it.
Okay, pause for the banana.
There we go.
Banana.
So the thing is, and this is also what this is also what we've been talking about a moment ago. She can't continue the story of Offred because the discrepancies would become too huge. Now, a moment ago, Alicia said something about how the story doesn't make sense because it's women against women. It's not men against women. I'm not sure if Alicia's still here, by the way. Probably not.
I bet she's having a fag or something.
Well, she was having a laugh.
Yeah, I can understand that.
She's outside on the front porch smoking away and having a laugh.
No one is imprisoning females as breeding stock, indeed, Carlos. That would never happen, I think.
I think we should continue because this is just about her writing a sequel.
But we only paused at that point for the banana.
Okay.
I know.
Here we go, banana.
But then a couple of things happened. Instead of going away from Gilead, as we thought had been happening possibly in the 90s, we started going back towards Gilead in a number of places in the world, but including the United States.
Yep.
I'm curious.
Okay.
What does it?
It's the backlash, is it not? It's Trump. It's Trump.
No, but what does it mean? What does it mean? We're going back to the Gilead. What does that mean?
So basically, okay, so because she's a feminist, she has a particular worldview of the 50s, right? So she pictures the 50s like the Donna Reed show. right? Where you have two separate beds. The woman has to have babies. Her whole life is just babies. And in the 90s, they had this huge, well, obviously the 60s and 70s is the sexual revolution. 80s kind of freeing, it retracts a little bit because of the AIDS, but then in the 90s, nobody gives a shit. And then all of a sudden in the 2000s, you get gay marriage, you get to have abortions up to term. You're like, everything is wonderful. Trump gets elected. And then all of a sudden, certain states pass laws against abortion, and Hobby Lobby doesn't have to do the IUD birth control, which, by the way, is very dangerous for women anyway. So fuck her for pushing that birth control. There's so many lawsuits on that birth control.
Let me just play a devil's advocate for a second. She looks quite old, so I had the same exact thought when you said about the 50s that I was trying to type in the chat exactly the same thing. Brilliant equals the 50s. But this woman looks old enough. She might actually have been there.
I don't. Well, how?
Well,
does
she
anyone,
maybe, but she wouldn't have been that old.
Well, but think about this.
I'm 57
well, I know,
and I was born in 62.
Okay, but think about this. Think about it for a moment. So when she's a child in like the 60s and 70s, right? So 60s and 70s, that's when all of the black and white movies were on, portraying the 50s as oppressive and as one particular way. And that's when Hollywood was like way overboard, where no kissing, no hugging, no nothing. So her worldview is based off of the programming that she got in America by watching the TV programs. And I know all these TV programs because I was born in the 80s and I had a father that was wealthy enough.
Okay, sorry. Alicia, you're making her way younger than she is. I just looked at Wikipedia and she was born in 1939.
Okay, so if
she was a young woman in the 50s. She was 20.
So she was
at the end of the.
No. She was 10. She was 10. Sorry.
Yes, exactly. That's my point.
Exactly.
She was young.
Yeah. So it's not. It's so like the majority of everything that I know when you become cognizant and you remember. So mine is all in the 90s, right? I was alive in the 80s for sure, but the majority of my remembrance and programming comes from the 90s. But like I said, I had a rich father, so I got cable TV. I was one of the first people to have MTV, right? So I got to watch Nick at Night because I would stay up late. I watched Nick at Night, and I got to watch all of those movies. I watched Dobie Gillis. I watched Gillis. I watched Leave It to Beaver. I watched the Patty Duke Show. I saw all of them. I even watched The Little Rascals. I watched all of it. So I'm assuming that's where her programming comes from, is watching those movies, but it wasn't really like that. So when in the 90s, when I was watching about the 60s, the only thing they were showing are these dirty, filthy hippies and how they formed these communes and molested kids. And so my whole thought of the 60s is, oh my God, they were full of trashy fuckers that wanted to fuck children, take drugs. And no, I'm just saying is that you have to understand somebody's worldview, or you can't understand why they make the opinions that they're making. And I truly believe that so many people were so isolated back then that was their worldview. And then you go to college and your only worldview is what your teachers are telling you. And that's why I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the Twilight Zone, because it expanded my mind and said, hey, there's more out there. Let's start questioning this.
Hello.
So
welcome, Carlos. Can you hear us, mate?
I love her expression. That's a brilliant phrase.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Mate. We can.
Hi, Carlos. Sorry, I'm so guarding the stream, so I'll shut up for a little bit.
No. I was on the center, the browser center. My sound was completely off.
Oh yeah, you have to use Google, really.
Exactly. Well, I switched, and so yeah. How is everyone? Just a quick thing, and Atwood is insane.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, pretty much.
If she can, like I write in the chat, if she can see the parallels of her fictional dystopian America with current America, she's clinically insane and she needs to be committed. Honestly,
Well,
there is absolutely nothing even remotely similar.
What I find funny is the whole idea that she sees it happening when Trump got elected, and I'm like, what did Trump do that could set her off?
He beat Hillary.
Well, yeah, that
He existed, and he wants to grab him by the pussy.
That is it.
Oh yeah, and don't forget Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh. I mean,
No,
I don't know.
no. Because all this, she explained in the interview, is no. This goes back to Trump merely getting elected.
Well, let's continue the interview then. How much?
Okay.
Let's.
Especially as we can see the question already.
Yeah. How much did the election of President Trump prompt you to write The Testaments? Oh, I guess The Testaments is the new book then?
Yeah.
How much did the election of President Trump prompt you to write The Testaments?
Everyone in the show, which had started filming in early September, everyone in the show woke up on November 9th and said, we're in a different show. Not that the show changed, it didn't, but the frame around the show changed, and we knew at that moment that it would be viewed differently, which it was.
Because of Trump derangement syndrome.
It's the beauty of method acting, isn't it? I mean, these pompous, high-class people who think that they are touching the nerve of the truth with their show. They're so deluded. It's amazing. It's so amusing.
But what I don't understand, and I haven't read the book, I haven't seen the series. All I know are from clips I've seen or from extracts I've read. But did you just see a moment ago there was this girl with only one eye, and she was pregnant and she was rubbing her belly? Didn't she seem pleased?
She actually so that's I would need my crib notes, but she was the most flamboyant girl of them all. So she was what was her name? Hold on. June is Alfred, by the way. Serena, Janine. I think that's Janine. Anyway, so that girl Janine, she was a teenager, right? So she was this wild teenager that liked rock and roll music, and she was a free chick, and she dated a lot, and she had a lot of sex, and she was straight. She was straight. And when they lined all the girls up to do the religious class and told them what they were going to be, the aunt lady, the one in charge, she basically told them how they were going to live. And the other girls starting to toe the line because they were being tortured into following the rules. But that one girl, she would not. She was like, fuck you guys. And so there was this big scene where the lady in charge, the Aunt Lydia, she quotes from the Bible, if the eye, like there's this quote from the Old Testament, I can't think of it right now, but if the eye displeases you, pluck out the eye. Do you know what I'm talking about? Anyway, yeah. So what they did is they took her,
X-ray man,
and they plucked out her eye. And it made her go crazy, obviously, because it hurt like hell. And so then she just kind of was like, fuck it, I'm going along with it. So she went all in. She was like, screw this shit. And so she was happy because when she was pregnant, all of a sudden she got more food. The dude that got her pregnant was like really nice to her because he really liked her and shit. So she realized how much power she had. And it's quite sad because she's abused more than anybody else in that story. It's really sad.
So it's sadomasochism.
Yeah, it is sadomasochism. Yeah.
To me, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the minutiae of the individual characters interesting, but you really have to look into the lore much more. But just an overall observation of mine is, to me, this whole thing looks like it's a group of aristocrats who are LARPing as the working class. That's what these women are. They're rich actresses that have some imagination in their head that when I'm a working class woman, this is the way I am currently oppressed. And they have no idea. Exactly. They're just kind of imagining themselves.
Exactly. Because we all know that if the socialists did come into power, you know that every single Hollywood person would be destroyed.
Oh yeah, they'd be dead.
They would just move.
No, they wouldn't. They'd be destroyed. It's like Mao's Red Guard.
No, they won't. They would move. Honestly, if they do come in power, they would leave. Like Madonna. Madonna's living in Portugal.
Oh, did she leave to Portugal? I read that the other day, but I didn't know if it was true.
No, she was a bit upset, but she realized, shit, I have 10 years of tax-free living here. Why the fuck would I want to go away? There are no.
She's not got enough money already.
Yeah, there are no brown people that could blow me up here. So honestly, I want to live here. That's Madonna's thought. Because she had a house in London.
She's got so much money, and she's worried about being tax-free. Well, come.
No, but they're Jesus, they're greedy parasites, basically.
Yeah.
But this kind of reminds me. I've read the Wikipedia. I've not seen the movie. I've read the Wikipedia synopsis of Handmaid's Tale. It kind of reminds. I don't know if you guys have seen. Paul Joseph Watson posted this article, and some other people have also posted that article, where there's this new fetish where women are getting pregnant just for getting pregnant, but then after about 20 weeks they're getting abortions because they want to be pregnant, but they don't want the kid.
Do you think that's true? I just saw that, right?
I don't know.
I want proof of that because I know that. So I know for sure that there's a castration fetish. I do know that one's been proven, which is bad enough, right?
Yeah, but the castration kind of permanent. Getting pregnant.
Why is it bad enough?
But the problem is okay. So with every abortion you have, even especially if you do a chemical abortion, right? It's going to make it harder and harder for your body to get pregnant.
Yeah, but they don't tell them that.
I'm pointing this out because, again, I'm like you, Alicia. I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical of anything.
Yeah.
So
I'm
just bringing this up, but
it scares me that it is.
Yeah, the same. It's so. I'm
I'm
finding it difficult. There's so much pose and so much. Insanity. It's
just because you live in a country with normal women. You see, you can't really understand it. If you were in America, then you would understand it better.
Parody is becoming so hard to distinguish between what's real and what's not because of this small minority. They are minuscule, but they are so fucking loud. You think it's 99%.
That's why I'm
saying they are the media. They have
the population.
Carlos, they've taken over Hollywood. That's the thing. Everybody can writhe in agony and in sympathy with women constantly abused and suffering on television in all scenes. My wife, everybody. It's always the women have it so bad, and there's rapes and people being dismembered, and it's always the women.
Let's be honest. For years, the story has been women don't earn enough.
Men are failing and they are being broke, quite unquote. They're not, but that's the study that came out. But it's women that are suffering.
Yeah,
women are suffering.
You guys, we have to. We have to fix that. We have to fix that because according to
fix it.
No, we have to fix it because according to NAMBLA, their whole entire plan, in order to get the age of consent removed, is they're going to be utilizing little boys. They're going to start with 12 to 18, and that's going to be the group that they target. And so they're utilizing men need to stick up for men. Men need to be men. Men need to stick up for men. Instead of
Mambla, I would compulsory castration and lobotomization. Fucking freaks.
But the problem is okay. So we already know about the bocce boys, right?
Yeah.
So we know about them, and we're seeing it play right before our eyes again. They take little boys because for some fucked up reasons, society doesn't give two shits about little boys.
Nope.
So what they're doing is they're sexualizing the little boys in order to satiate their deviation and their deviance. and we need men to stick up for men. I mean, it has to be. You guys have to stop letting females shut you down.
Yeah, but
and just be as strong as you possibly can.
I agree with you, Alicia.
Become
I agree.
poor. We need poverty. That's
one
what
second.
we need.
No, because there are articles bemoaning how hard it is on the women that the men aren't getting rich.
I kind of do want to say something though.
It levels everything. I'm on Carlos' side. If it really goes down, if you're poor enough, it'll level everything, and it'll just.
We need poverty, absolute, like Portugal.
Oh, you're on the side of the
socialism.
No. Socialism and poverty are not the same thing. I'm sorry, I am going to scream now.
No. I'm joking.
But the thing is, guys, and this is very important. We
get back to the interview?
We need.
No, not yet. We're on a point.
I'm trying to say something for the last 5 minutes. Can I get my words in, please? We need, and I agree with Alicia, we need men to be able to stand up again. Now, for that, we need both men and women to stand up against feminism and against the socialistic push or the feministic push in our society.
No. Here's the problem, right? Here's the problem. Okay. Sneaky fuckers. It's a evolutionary identified technique. It is what male feminists are.
Yeah.
It is men who are not able to be manly, so they feign female characteristics to get close to the females in the hope of reproduction.
You're describing beta
Well,
squid.
then, what you guys have to do is you guys have to stop giving attention to these men that are women.
Yes, we know this.
But you guys do that. Look at how many people follow Blair White. How many of you are guilty of following Blair White right now?
Haven't watched.
Blair White is not the problem.
I'm not saying. I'm saying as an example.
But she's actually defending the men and so on.
So she's giving men what they want.
Yeah. No, the problem is that Levin thing. What's her name? What's his name? That Canadian one that wants his balls fucking waxed.
Oh, you're talking about Jessica Yaniv. Jessica Yaniv.
Yeah, that guy. That one.
The trusted nerd.
I'm sorry that I just got your channel demonetized in one way, but
well, we've been doing that for the last hour and a quarter.
Yeah. If any of these fucks want to come get me here in Portugal, they can fucking try because it won't work. So even if they delete my Twitter, delete my whatever it is, I don't fucking give a shit. I hate social media. I only have it because I have contact with you guys and my friends, basically. So it's not. I don't lose anything if I get kicked out of social media. No, so I'm going to say that cunt of a guy who is fucking pretending, laughing as a female just because he has a fetish of having his balls waxed and having its balls touched by women. Blair White.
You're missing the point here.
No, I know.
The point is that there are men that cannot survive by being manly, so they choose to be effeminate, and that's exactly what that Blair has little boys confused now.
No, she doesn't. I don't think she does.
No, that's what's happening is, yes. And not only does she have these young men confused,
she's not a trap.
She also is giving them what they want. So why would any man want a woman anyway when they can just have a boy that was obviously a beta, a very unattractive male?
Because there are not enough trainees to go around for everyone.
Guys, let her finish. Guys, let her finish. 1 second.
She's probably she's actually what's that?
An ally.
No, nothing. She is actually the condition.
Dysmorphic. But I think we're getting really sidetracked.
No.
Yeah, we are. Let's get back to it.
Can I just say
because I just have 20 minutes to go, guys.
Guys,
let John say something.
Yes.
Right. So Alicia says, and that is the problem. As I always say every time, there is no homogeneity. In my life, I'm not the most manly man, but I have never once in my life acquiesced to a woman because she's a woman. Ever. And that's me. That's just me. I'm one person out of half the population.
You're just not thirsty enough.
No, that's not the point. No, that's not the point. The point is even if every one of us and everyone we knew did what Alicia says, it doesn't matter because we're a drop in the ocean, because it doesn't work like that. We can know what we need to do, doesn't get us any closer to it actually happening. And the problem is you've got frigging indoctrination at school. You've got all the peer groups now which are driving kids to these insane behaviors, these insane attitudes. And they're not in our generation, they're not in our field. So it's all right saying, what men need to do. I quite agree. 100% agree. But it doesn't actually make it achievable because it doesn't say
Can I summarize what you're saying? What you're saying, I think, is this aberrant behavior is normalized. Is that correct?
Well, it is being normalized through education.
Okay, so my question is, and that's one thing I wanted to say 10 minutes ago already. You can try and fight this on the individual level, as Alicia suggested, and maybe on a tribal level, as Carlos suggested. But I would also say, like as an artist and as a musician, I would say people are really kind of hungry for alternative stories. I think they start to see through this. They see that it's a cardboard cutout, So I think, like, if you come along with somebody like Tarantino, with an alternative view of it, and say make something that's completely not playing into this, women are always the biggest victim, and into this whole thing, I think you could really make a lot of headway on that artistic or like. Alternative to Hollywood, you could make a movie about like a male suffering, and you could actually make cash with this. You could actually make bank with it as well.
We need propaganda, but nobody sympathizes with a male suffering.
This is why
because they haven't discovered the market yet.
No. So the other night, my husband and I were watching a Vietnam movie. It was the one with Charlie Sheen. And that
on the 4th of July, with Tom Cruise.
No, not that one. God, I can't think of what it was called. But anyway, we have all of those movies. They're war movies, and you see these poor boys, and you see what they go through, and we're still where we are now.
And this is exactly what the MRM discusses ad nauseum, because it is the fundamental problem that there is this massive compassion gap between men and women, and no one knows how to fix it because it is essentially evolutionary.
Well, there's a double thing to it, because it's not merely evolutionary, but the problem what we're seeing now is that where men and women both have their place within society, and men, funny enough, societally speaking, have always been expendable, we now have a society, once in the day, men were expendable, but women were homemakers and they needed their men, so they didn't want their men to be expended. We now have a society that has absolutely no problem with expending men.
Because you've got the state instead of men to take over, right?
And that's
we have to take it back.
And we have to return. We have to.
The only way is by making the state smaller again.
Fuck
the state.
We need to infect the education system, infect the music system, infect Hollywood in any possibly way we can. And we have to get a hold of the education. The education is where the problem is.
Well, it's where it's going to be fixed.
Until we get a hold of the education, we're going into the future. The education system is so bad. I have so many sources of teachers that get a hold of me. They send me information. There's teachers now that have calculated where all the people are going to be, and they literally have 1 hour a week where they lock their doors so that they can try to teach the kids actually something. Because everything being taught is focused around feelings.
Yeah.
Everything has to be about feelings. And I had one parent tell me that they got a call from one of their SJW teachers where her student was joking and saying, "Oh, I can't do this. I'm terrified of puppets." And the teacher took it so seriously that she called the parent and asked, should I pull your daughter out of the next 2 weeks while we talk about puppets? So we're up against, I mean, it is worse than you guys think. If you go
trust me, it's not.
I can think a lot, and it's not worse than I think. It's not even close to what I want.
We're all black-pilled here.
Yeah. Well, I'm not even talking about black-pilled or red-pilled or whatnot.
We can't change. Unfortunately, we are so far gone, we can't change it. The only thing that can change this is either a meteorite hitting Earth to wipe out 3/4 of the population, a world war, a complete economic collapse. I mean, the financial economic collapse, not that would make.
That may well happen we might well live to see that, Carlos.
Yes. I know. I'm waiting for that. I hope that'll happen.
Yeah,
there's another party happening.
Yeah. But
you're too black-pilled for me.
I know economic collapse. We need an economic collapse that would make the Great Depression, October, I think it was 31st, 1929, Black Thursday, look like a bad half-hour trading at the Burkina Faso Stock Exchange. We need one that's
real
complete.
Raven. We're not normies for being
I'm gonna go take a break.
I'm also almost going to go. I got about 5 more minutes.
Okay, well, in that case, let me continue with the video because...
So instead of fantasy, haha, this will never happen, it got a lot closer to reality. Because of the kinds of people backing Trump, that would be the religious right of the red states, and because of his generally unhelpful attitude towards women.
Bullshit.
Yeah, this is the biggest
full attitude. I wonder what she means.
Well, she means she swallowed the MSN propaganda, lock, stock and barrel, and didn't look into any of it.
Yeah, and it basically boils down. Oh, wait a sec. I can put down.
She said the religious right. Does she mean Islam?
Well, that's the whole thing.
Obviously not. It's America.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing.
Exactly.
If you, what I understood, the control over women. I'm sorry, there hasn't been a time in Christianity where the control over women has anything as close to what she's describing. But we can see it at this very point in time in Islamic countries.
I know the history of Christianity, and women have always been protected and nourished, and even the Protestants hate the Catholics because they are Marianites, which they worship Mary, a woman.
Yeah.
So, no, sweetie, you are insane. Your hair shows you are insane. Your eyes.
Yeah,
look at those.
Well, she doesn't understand anything. This is quite clear.
Yes, the delusion is at 9,000 indeed. It's over now, thousands.
Nothing. I mean, she's saying, okay. I mean, I don't know the circumstances of her life, but the circumstances for most people's lives are continually getting better in the main. I mean, yeah, there are squeezes and general flows in the distribution of wealth in affluent societies. But even so, if you look at somebody living in a council estate now with someone who lived in a council estate 30 years ago, and then 30 years before that, there's no comparison.
Yeah,
no comparison.
You know what just struck me? I don't know if we heard this already, but I see it in the stream. Young women of reproductive age are always in the minority in any society. So she's actually complaining about the fact that fertile women are a minority.
Well, like any demographic, but here's the question. Why should fertile women have
Exactly.
They're not
their
in the they're only
Exactly.
in the minority.
She's on a fucking power trip.
In the West,
She is on a power trip. The power trip of the
Yeah.
womb. It's like the womb decides. I have the womb. I have the power of giving life.
Yeah.
So I'm the government.
And
That's
only
basically the entitlement.
I get to say. And that sentence, we haven't got there, but that sentence was why I wanted to do this interview.
And it's kind of.
And she also said, and therefore they're never allowed to vote as a group. What is she? What like this
Allowed.
is this thing?
But
They're all
it's-
connected via Bluetooth.
Yes, and that's the worst part.
Their
Because
vaginas are
allowed.
connected
I
via
mean,
Bluetooth. Too,
somehow-
right?
Stopping them.
Somehow-
if they got together and agreed to all vote the same way, what is stopping them?
Well, somehow she believes that, well, obviously, if they all agree, this is what we do. But then she kind of assumes that all women of birth-giving age agree with her.
No,
Yeah.
she assumes all women are a monolith.
Yeah.
And all women are communists.
Exactly.
Well,
All
obviously,
women
that's the whole thing about being a monolith.
Are children who can't decide for themselves,
but not
who
just
have
that.
no agency,
No,
therefore
no.
they can't have any freedom.
No,
because
no, no,
you-
no.
for-
Just
more
basic.
than more than
The
that,
Borg.
that they've never had any influence as to how the world already is.
They have had.
I know
There's-
exactly. That's my point.
Yeah,
They have.
exactly. She believes that. Yeah, they believe that.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what
going
saying.
to the
She-
dark
she-
side, Ludicrous.
That's what she's saying.
She's a moron, basically.
But still, I would really question just allowed to vote as a group on measures that concern them. Allowed to, I don't get it. Why doesn't she make a virtual women party or something? I don't get it. I really don't.
You,
Yeah,
you,
I
you
think
would
that-
know, you
I
would
think
know
that
What she
was-
imagines is like give the virtual women 3 votes and then normal people get 1 vote or something like that. Then they have some.
No. Just
Raven,
just
you would know
women.
that because you were sort of slightly involved in everything. The Glass Blind Spot interview of Carl Benjamin, where
Oh, yeah.
the one that he cleaned out the audio.
Yeah.
This is poignant. Carl pointed out that women just need to ask for something, and it is
they get it.
immediately get it in a group as a group. So what the fuck is she talking about?
Is my
I
breathing
don't
so
know.
bad?
What does she want? She doesn't even know what she wants. She just says, "Oh, we need more women in engineering." Bang! They just have to say
I think-
that.
I think ultimately it's just pushing away the blame that we actually didn't vote for Trump. It's not our fault that everything's
no,
bad.
but
No, they
she's a
voted-
fucking Canadian.
They
Is she?
voted- yeah. So fuck her. She's stupid.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
let's
telling you the
let's
fact,
continue
she's
with
a
what she has
Canadian.
to
She's
say,
not
though.
So that is so meta, John. I mean, she's a Canadian writing about American women who are played by rich actresses laughing as.
She's not writing about American women.
No.
She's writing about North American
Gilead.
society
A
generally,
dystopian, yeah.
generally, and she's
Yeah.
saying that the changes in the United States are becoming closer to this
Yeah.
vision.
She should look at what
Well, in
Canada's
some
done.
way,
Let's
it
continue.
excuses her ignorance, right?
Guys, let's
No.
continue.
Anyway,
She's looking from the
people,
outside in.
Let's
No, but
continue.
if you don't know,
I
don't speak.
have to go.
See you
It's
later,
been
Carlos.
an,
Thank you for joining,
Thank
mate.
you. Yeah. I had to do tonight. My dad's a bit more stable, so I felt a bit.
Well, it's good news. It's always good.
Yeah, I hope things will go better. And there's
it won't.
always a spot
No,
over
with him
here.
it won't. I just want him to live many more years, but no, I know where all that things is.
Yeah, I know. The
But anyway,
feeling, mate.
no burdening, no bad thing. See you guys. Love you all.
Love you too, mate.
And
See you soon.
Everyone in the chat that are watching, love you all as well. And good night.
Yeah, good night.
Anyway, let's continue with what she has to say.
Oh, don't say
How the
that.
hell
It
do I
sounds
leave
mean.
What sounds mean? What sounds mean?
Well, Carlos is saying his good nights. He's been very gracious, and you say anyway.
Well, yeah, because
Come on, Sean.
And
You're rubbing
therefore,
it in now.
they're never
No,
allowed to vote as a group
Okay.
on measures that concern them. They
Right,
feel
that's
that they're on the verge of having decisions made about them and about their entire future and fate and body and health and all the rest of it that they have not been able to decide.
You know what
Really?
I find
And
so
that
very
doesn't
interesting?
happen to
They
any other group.
feel. Stop the presses. Stop the
What?
No
word,
other
they
group
feel.
has decisions made about them
No,
without
guys,
them having told
you're
the world.
missing the very fundament of the argument. She knows how they feel.
Oh yeah.
That's the fundament. How dare you think differently because she know how all those women feel. There
Every
you have
one of them,
feminism in a nutshell.
Because they're a Borg.
Yeah, they're connected via Bluetooth. All their vaginas are connected via Bluetooth. Don't you know that?
Sounds kinky. Is that porn?
No, it's
let's be honest.
A metaphor from V, you know, but I think it's very
okay.
fitting.
But let's be honest, because this is a perfect place for the no true Scotsman. Only real women are connected to her thoughts. The other ones aren't real women, obviously.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but that's how deep it goes.
No, but as I say, the other side, and it's an equally valid point, is her assumption that only this group has decisions made affecting them by the majority.
Yeah.
No, that's everybody.
Yeah.
But it's not even, she doesn't even say that that's the case. She says that they feel that that's the case. So it's even more meta than that. It's okay. There's a group of feel something, and that's important. Why and how? Because these people are really, really important. There are young little daughters. There are 20, 25. They're the most desired people. They're the princesses.
And
That's
this is
why
also
it matters.
This is also what Alicia said. We need to stand up because as soon as a girl is a victim, we all cry outrage. We ignore
Attractive girl.
No,
childbearing age.
no. Don't even try to deflect. Girl. Period.
Yeah.
But as soon
Oh,
as a
yeah, but
boy
girl
is a victim,
implies, girl implies.
One
it's
moment,
an age
Bill
range.
Raven. Let me finish my point, please. As soon as a boy is a victim, no one bats an eye.
Yeah.
That's
Those
the-
poor little drag boys. Nothing.
Boko
Nothing.
Haram.
Well, yeah. I mean, they were talking about bring back our girls. Never mind the fact that they didn't only take girls; they murdered hundreds of boys.
Thousands
Well,
of boys.
At that one point in time, it were a few hundred, though.
No, it wasn't. It was they'd been killing boys by the thousands.
Oh yeah, no, they
there was
have.
literally no reaction, so that Boko Haram consciously changed the tactic.
Yeah, I know.
Kidnapped 500 girls, and all of a sudden the world goes mental.
Yeah,
And the girls weren't even hurt, but the boys
we're all murdered.
not just that, but they were being put
do you
into
know why
buildings
though?
and
I'm going to
burned
tell you
alive.
why. So it's because I'm going to tell you why. So as men get older and their grandfathers, and then they have their little granddaughters, and then they have their little grandsons, and the little granddaughters bring them this particular joy, whereas they're trying to build a strong man. So I mean it's natural. It's natural. We shouldn't be mad at men for doing something so natural. So we have to find a way for men to stand up for other men in a natural way, without like abusing them and being mean to them or calling them a white knight or all this other shit, because it's natural and that's what keeps our species going.
Yeah.
We shouldn't discourage that, but we have to encourage that they see their fellow. That it's like when you watch the war movies, right? Because I don't know what it's like to be in the military, but that bonding between men, they need some kind of bonding, and we're taking it away from them. Like I'm so pissed at the Boy Scout thing, because really the boys needed that time to bond.
Yep.
They need those friendships, but they're being denied those friendships. And at the same time, they need women worth fighting for as well, you know?
Yeah.
So, like when my husband, when Raven got to meet her boyfriend, he noticed right away that he was very masculine towards her, but a good positive masculine. I don't know anymore, but he wanted to protect her, but at the same time, it was like a beautiful thing. And we don't we don't push that enough. And as a woman, I'm trying to push that. I'm trying to say, look, this is a good thing. It's a good thing for a man to wrap his arms around you to protect you. That's not an insult. That's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean you're weak. It's like a nice comforting blanket. It doesn't mean you're weak. Putting on a coat in the winter doesn't make you weak, but that's what we've been programmed to do ever since whoever thought of this strange division of the sexes did.
But the thing is, if we look at this division of sexes, and whether you're religious or not, I'm going to leave that to everyone their own thing. But we see this in every mammalian species. We see this in all mammalian species. But somehow it's a problem for humans. I don't get that.
That's what I don't understand. The only thing I can think of is that there has to be, you know how the left always talks about social constructs, right? So she's basically saying, look at these women right now on the screen, like that chick. Yeah, she's the type pushing this stuff. But she's basically saying that because a woman isn't getting free birth control and free abortion, that is equivalent to being held down on a mattress by another woman and getting raped by a man until she is pregnant.
There's another thing that I find very interesting on the still that we are on now. Because here we got a bunch of SJWs dressed in red with those hoods on, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're looking at the first person.
Yes.
She's looking straight ahead, isn't she?
Is she looking straight ahead?
Well, she's looking to the corner, but I mean, she could look straight ahead. If a man were to stand right in front of her, she could look him in the eyes. Am I correct?
Yeah.
No, she's doing a sideways glance.
Yeah, she's doing a sideways glance now, but she could look someone straight in the eye. Wasn't the whole idea of the hood that they would always face down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here they are displaying, look at how oppressed they are, and even in this, they are lying. Because they're not being oppressed, she's looking straight. She's looking for conflicts. She's looking for someone to say, how dare you? And no one is saying, how dare you? And therefore she's even more angry because look at how oppressed I am. I'm being a bitch and no one is speaking out against it.
It does remind me of horse blinders, to be honest.
Well, they are.
Yeah. It's like, don't make the animals afraid so that they run away, like that kind of thing.
But the whole idea is that they can't look at people. They are forced to have a very limited view, both in front of them and definitely to the sides.
Well, if you think so, do they? Okay, so I get it. So they're using a particular mindset, right? But if you were to actually follow through the logical consequences, the logical ending of intersectionality, they do realize that at some point, any woman that is fertile, right, will be seen as having a privilege, and they will be required to have a baby for a transsexual couple.
Indeed.
And give it to them. Like, no, that's, like literally where it's going. That is like literally if you start following it, also all the boys, all the kids between 8 and 18 will be assigned a fucking pedophile so that their sexual gratification. And I don't even know what men are going to have to just all work, right? And you guys have to just pay for everything because you're not oppressed. So you guys have to work and pay for everything while women have babies for men that turn into women and for women that turn into men.
So we're not oppressed if we are forced to do all the work.
No, I'm just saying.
No, I'm not criticizing what you're saying. I'm just saying it's like their logic, not yours. Their logic is just like, it's like, oh, women are oppressed because they don't have a choice, but men don't have a choice. That's not oppression because they're oppressed. They're being made to work. Huh?
But you're not oppressed because you were born with privilege. You were born with strength.
Yeah.
Intelligence. No. I'm just explaining it to you.
I know, but they never actually
It's funny.
explain what this privilege is.
It's like the Holy Ghost. It's one of the tenets.
Yeah. It's
So,
this mythical property.
Let's finish out her thing. I want to see what else she has to
Let's
say.
continue.
Let's finish that.
The handmaid's uniform of the red cloak and the white bonnet has been adopted by activists who've demonstrated against Trump and pro-choice. What's your reaction to that?
It's a brilliant demonstration stratagem because they can get into legislatures and you can't kick them out because they're not saying anything. They're sitting very modestly. And you can't kick them out because they're dressed improperly. They're all covered up. But everybody looking at them knows what they mean.
Banana. It's so funny. I think she's woefully uninformed. Antifa does very much more than just sitting there.
No, but can I just say, I do prefer that outfit to the pussy hats and the vagina bodysuit.
There is that. But the thing is, they can't kick them out because they're silent and because they're modestly dressed. Yeah, that's not how it works. You can kick people out for other reasons. You can kick people out because they are not doing anything wrong, but other people have a problem with that. That's the thing with public buildings.
So if I were to walk in, if a bunch of us women were to walk into legislations in a hijab, full bodysuit, what would that tell them?
Yeah.
If I have a group of women and we all walk in silently and just sit there, what will that tell them?
Yeah.
It's the same thing, right?
You're empowered. It is. That you're empowered.
But it's kind of funny.
But what I'm saying is like literally what she talks about is there is, I know everybody says Islam, but there actually is a group of people like that. It's the fundamental LDS people.
Yeah,
but because she's so.
We have a compound where the girls have to dress like that.
Yeah.
They are assigned a husband with polygamy, and they have to have babies.
Wow.
There literally is a
Mormons,
universe like that.
Yes, because she's absolutely obsessed about the Christian fundamentalists.
Well, there is
No, I'm not
That's
saying
where
that.
she has to look. She has to look at the fundamental. It's not Christianity doing that.
No. But my point is that she's blind to any other ideology. She's so obsessed on the Christianity of the fundamentalists.
But when she even every single verse they use in it is only the Old Testament. They never once mentioned the New Testament at all. There's nothing in there, and it really shocks me. There's no talk of Jesus. There's no. It's only the Old Testament.
Yeah, of course.
Very oppressive.
It's typical feminist cherry picking.
But it's kind of funny because a slightly off topic, but not too long ago I was told about an article, and in that article there was I think it was in Great Britain. It could be somewhere else. I can't remember. But there was this girl who started fights with two Muslim girls. She ripped off their, the hijab. Mm-hmm. And then if you read the article, it talks about how she's been misbehaving. She had, on 3 separate occasions, attacked the police. And on one occasion, she attacked 2 Muslim girls whilst ripping off their hijab. And I'm like, the head of this story is how she ripped off a hijab. How come the head of this story is not she attacked the police on 3 different occasions?
Because that doesn't matter, and women are allowed to do that an infinite number of times.
And there you have it. That's the problem. But as soon as there's another oppressed class, all of a sudden, it's because of that. Reality has nothing to do with this anymore.
No, it never has.
Well, I would say it never has.
No, it hasn't for the longest time.
Well, for the longest time.
It's all bullshit.
And that's a problem.
Well, yeah, but it's getting weird because now the intersectionals don't even know how to deal with the intersectionals.
I think that's what you should title the stream. I'm drunk. Just call it "Reality has nothing to do with it anymore." It's just like a topic. It's almost a topical sentence for this decade. Reality has nothing to do with it anymore. It's just
feels overreal. No, just feels overreal. every time.
And you have that. I feel for you, John. In England, you have that totally with the Parliament at the moment. Like the Parliament really thinks that they're fighting some heroic struggle.
Well, guess what it is? You've got this on the Parliament going against the will of the people, right?
And I think they do something right thing.
Complaining at Boris Johnson for being undemocratic, and I'm like,
yes, it's so amazing. It's so amazing.
Like, you are so.
Oh my God, they're so deluded.
Yeah.
And they are so confident.
Oh,
they want an election, not.
No.
And if we get an election, we will push Brexit, unless we get people enough to say we don't want to do Brexit, because then we won't push back, even if we have to play. Anyway, sidetrack.
I'm
still for Bojo to go to jail, you know.
Disappointed because there was talk of a recall of your MP. They did a bill in 2015 where you could recall your MP. Unfortunately, they have to be either in prison or, oh God, what's the other thing they have to do? Such really bad things. Whereas I think that if you can get enough of the voters of a constituency to sign a petition, it should force a by-election. Because it's really hard to get that many people to sign a petition. You know, if you talk about 25% of the electorate of a constituency, that doesn't happen on the whim.
Yeah.
And I think that the people should have the right to do this for any reason. And if that were the law, which it's not, sadly, I would be now pushing for people to do petitions against their MPs if their MP is a Remainer and they are a voted leave in the referendum. I mean, only those conditions, because it's those whose MPs are betraying them.
Yeah.
If you live in a Remain area, you've got a Remain MP, fair enough. If you've got a Leave MP in a Leave area, fair enough. It's when you've got a Remain MP in a Leave area that is not acceptable. When both the main parties stood in their manifesto in 2017 on delivering the referendum result.
By the way, guys, I'm sorry, I need a fast bio break. I'll be right back.
Sure. John has hijacked I pushed him that way, but he's hijacked this topic anyway.
Well, because a lot of the underlying theme of what Atwood is saying is, you know, about having a say. And, you know, and let's be honest, when you live in a multi-million people country, how much say does one person have? Fuck all. No shit, you know. And so there is a limit to how far you can expect the decisions made by the polity to reflect your own views and preferences. Okay, that's fine. But when there is a clear mandate, then the elected representative should frigging follow that mandate. And this reflects on what she's saying, because she's saying, oh, you can't have, you know, you haven't got this special group here dictating everything for everybody else. Well, no. And you shouldn't. Because life isn't just this one interest group making decisions that only affect this one interest group. I mean, at the end of the day, if they have their free abortions on demand, somebody else is paying for it.
Well, that's the thing, though. There's always someone else paying for it. At this point in time, even if they are paying for the abortion, there's still someone else paying for it, because their unborn child is being killed because of it. So I would say that's a price way more than just a few euro or a few dollar. I mean, in my last video when I addressed Kate Smurthwaite with the amazing double-think skills she has, she's like, oh, but you think that a fetus has the right to an education and all those things. And I'm like, yes, I do think that a fetus has a right to an education. All in due time, obviously, but yes.
Yeah, if you were a mother, you would definitely feel that way.
Well, I'm not a mother, I still feel that way.
Yeah, I know. I mean, as a father, you know, you can empathize with that, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Your body, your choice, your body, your bill.
Oh, yeah. or my wallet, my choice.
My wallet, my choice. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue.
That was what Dave Chappelle was saying.
Yeah.
Saying,
Dave Chappelle.
if you insist on taking sole responsibility for the decision on having a child, then don't.
Funny, I was watching that in bed, and my wife was kind of half watching it, and at that stage, I think she kind of shut up a little bit. She's like, I wonder if she's going to say anything. There was no comment from her side.
No, but I think there's plenty of women who do agree with that as well. Anyway, let's continue.
Can you envisage a time when you might return to Gilead for a third time?
Never say never, but never try to predict what you may or may not write. Because
there
if you
isn't anything
do
else
predict
in this.
it
It's all about
and then do something else, you will.
Well, in that case, I'm just going to call it quits because.
I mean,
at least about
it was
this
that
part.
thing about the young women that was the one sentence that really got me with the comment about Trump's election being the second thing, but it was that, oh, the women are always a minority and they never get to have sole control. Yeah, welcome to government.
Whatever.
Be grateful, okay, thanks largely to the efforts of men, that you get a say at all.
Yeah.
Because it used to be a monarchy and an aristocracy, and no one got a fucking say.
Yeah, that's another thing. Well, but women have a right to vote. Okay, I don't want to be rude, but there used to be a time that no one had a right to vote. And no one doesn't mean women. It means everyone who's not a leader. It's everyone who's not part of the elite. It's weird. I can't understand these people.
Well, the thing is that they imagine themselves as a natural right, as a natural part of the elite, and everybody else has to shut the fuck up. That's basically what I think they really see it as in that skewed kind of way. That
I mean, how would it work? How would it work? Do you have a system where you say, right, all girls will be registered at birth, and as they approach the reproductive age, 12, 13.
They get 4 votes. They get 4 votes.
Suddenly they get empowered, and then as they hit menopause, they get disempowered.
Yeah.
Is that how it's supposed to work?
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to work. And men should get like 0 votes or maybe 0.5 votes. When they work, they don't really need to vote anyway. They can pay for the women to vote. It's just
for it,
I don't know. It's just slave classes.
But that's the thing.
I don't know.
It is about slavery.
But I said it in the chat. I think that one of the problems is that to our children, fathers are invisible.
Yeah.
If you look at how only 100, 200 years ago, professions would be passed on from father to son, so at least the son would see what the father would work.
Industrialization did it.
Yeah.
It put people en masse in factories.
Can I tell you something important about the show that needs to be addressed?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Very important. Okay. And it demonstrates this whole thing where nobody feels sorry for men. So, I did stop watching it. I don't know if everybody actually watched my whole video, but they assigned all these men a wife, right? Let's include John. They assigned wives and husbands to each other.
Sorry.
So
my apologies.
There is this. So the main guy, Nick, he's like just a character. He's an actual Christian with morals, right? So he's actually Christian with morals. And he gets married to this girl who's, I don't know if she's 14 or 15. Don't know. Okay. It's not important because he looks at her like a little girl, right? And she keeps trying to have sex with him because it's not her. She's not going to be punished by this. She wants to sleep with him. And he's not going to do it because he thinks it's morally abhorrent.
Yeah, fair enough. Good.
And wrong. He does not want to rape this little girl. Even though she's willing to do it, he sees it as rape.
Yeah.
But because of everything going on, the main character, Offred, June, whatever you want to call her, she basically gives him an ultimatum and forces him to have sex with this little girl.
Mm.
And he is disgusted by it. He feels harmed. He feels shame. He feels dirty. He was basically like it's not
made to
really,
penetrate. It's a form of rape.
yeah, it was. It was like this mental rape. Not one person talked about it. And I tried to bring it up. I was like, that's kind of like rapey shit right there.
Yeah.
But it's actually bodily rape if you think about it.
No, he's
just
being
because
raped.
somebody forces you to do it, it's still a form of rape.
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
because you're doing something that, like, if you're at gunpoint, forced to fuck somebody against your will, that's pretty much the same.
But it's also worse because imagine so to drive it home in your head the way that he was seeing it, because he's actually a moral man. It would be like an adult man being forced to fuck a 10-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like in his head, that was what he was seeing, and it was
Disgusting.
It was disgusting. But literally, they put the woman, the grown-ass woman, before this little girl.
Yeah, that's feminism for you.
Yep.
Who, by the way, she's the reason why she ends up falling in love with a boy her own age, and they get found out, and they killed themselves because they would rather die than be part of that, because they loved each other. And there was no moral outcry for this poor man that had to rape a little girl. Like it was like this weird disconnect. I told Steve, because Steve was like, "Why?" Or you liked it. He never watched it. He didn't like it. But I was like, there was this part. I really didn't like it. Kind of gross. Nobody gives a shit about this guy. It's kind of, I don't like it anymore. You know?
Yeah, it's weird because it's actually very reasonable of them to portray it like that. It's very honest.
Yeah, and he's wrong because he doesn't go along with pedophilia.
No. But to actually portray him as the one with the conscience and the woman as the one forcing it is actually a very generous portrayal, and from a male point of view. And yet, the audience aren't open to that.
No, because
a woman is a victim.
They were getting pissed that he was taking so long and putting June at risk by not.
For goodness sake!
Yeah,
they literally were taking this wrong. They were, but it's like, I don't understand that. Like that's why I've never been able to be. I think so. If you take the root words, it would mean to stand up for what it means to be female. To me, the most female thing in the world is the one thing men can't do, and that's have children. And in order to have children, you have to protect the children. I'm saying carry the baby. Okay?
No. Actually, here's the interesting thing. So Sargon of Akkad, in his appearance at the ICMI, made a very good point. He says, when asked if the men's rights movement will ever become a mirror of feminism, he says, because it has never become an ism.
Yep.
Feminism, you say, it's about women. No, it's an ideology. And an ideology is a fuck by definition, basically, because you have to put the dogma before reality. Whereas men's rights is just, look, we just want some equality here. Can we just all be treated the same?
Yeah, but wouldn't at least then they should be protecting little girls.
Yeah, because it's about their ideology. It's about their ideology, and their ideology is the very narrow focus of a particular high-status group of women. Yep. Going back to the 18th century.
It's not all women.
It's not all women. Never been all women. It's the idle elite who are resentful they can't go out and do what their husbands do, even though they don't actually know what their husbands are doing. It's just that they imagine they're going out and being exciting.
I would say it's the disgruntled champagne socialists. Yeah. That's what they are.
It's the idle rich. They were the ones with the time, the money, the influence to push all this shit. Working women never pushed it because they were too busy living their lives and working.
Yeah. Doing something useful.
Well, just coping and not hating their partners who were also doing everything to make life possible. Yeah. It's only the idle who were disgruntled. I mean, it's because they were bored.
That's just messed up.
And again, time and again, we find more and more proof that shows that society is looking as women as perpetual victims and men as perpetual perpetrators. And therein lies a problem. And we have to stop this dichotomy because it's bullshit. But it goes as far as Alicia basically proved that the man is being looked upon in a negative way because he did not want to have sex with a child. Mm-hmm. How fucked up do you have to be that these people claim to be on a moral high ground? I can't believe that people actually buy that shit.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're up against, is that kind of mentality. And I don't know how to fight it, because like I watch all sorts of things. I love the horror show. Oh my God, American Horror Story. Love that series. Absolutely. And people kept trying to tell me to boycott and shit like this for one reason or another. But I was like, fuck no, I'm going to watch it. I like it. So the very last season was the one where the boycotts really were coming in, because that rapey feminist chick that raped her little sister and got away with it. What was her name?
Oh, Lena Dunham, is it?
Yeah. She was in it, right? So everybody's like, well, we're going to boycott it because he fucking pedophile. And I go, I went through the last season where they were like mocking my beliefs. I'm gonna watch this one. And it was great though, because that season was so good. I think it was so anti-feminist. It wasn't even funny. And I feel like a lot of the people missed out on it, because she was this fat, gross person that put together this male bashing things where they were going around killing men and shit like that. She ends up dying alone, and it was so worth it.
Is it not biography then?
Dude, no. Like I know a lot of people don't like horror, but I love
No,
horror.
I don't like Lena Dunham.
I know, but
Lena Dunham is horror.
But the funny thing is that if you actually do not like her, if you watch the entire Trump supporters didn't want to watch it either, because they were like, they're bashing Trump supporters, and I was like, you guys chill out. Fine.
Why is everyone so bloody fragile?
Well, dude, I'm telling you, the reason why we haven't seen another season is because that season, if you want to understand America, that, my friend, was America. It was America to a T. It was so beautifully done. It was so informative and so spot on. It was crazy.
Start watching it again.
And obviously that would not sell to the core outraged demographics.
Well, yeah,
true.
because if you think about it, so obviously I'm not the core demographic for The Handmaid's Tale. I'm not. I don't like smut magazines. I don't read romance novels. But I really, really loved the Sookie Stuckhouse series. It's called True Blood. They redid it on
I saw
HBO.
some of that. I did see some of that.
But it's not. So most women's romance novels are smut and gross and disgusting. But the way that the Sookie Stuckhouse, they were very they glossed over the sex scenes, and I know I'm a bit of a prude, but I don't want to read that stuff. Mm-hmm. So they glossed over it. The HBO series, it wasn't. I only watched like a couple seasons because then it started getting gross. But the books were just fine. So I think we have to come to a place where, yeah, I think if we can infect Hollywood or all these other places, we stand a chance of saving the world.
Yeah.
We still
I think
do.
alternative cultures or subcultures are a good way to go anyway. And the part of this is this hangout, this whole stream. The idea to talk about this in more truthful and unafraid terms, like besides this, the trail of wokeness, that everybody in the mainstream now thinks they have to trot, and it's not true. It's just an illusion. You don't have to.
They don't have to. They don't have to, and a few people stand up against it successfully. Probably, I think it's more like the old Chinese water torture. They just chip away and drip, 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 drip. Like, was it Beyonce was like not a feminist, and then all of a sudden everyone's raving about her, by which I mean the influential voices in the media.
And now she's a feminist.
And when she became a feminist, and all of a sudden, gushing reviews. And it's like, but that's not your audience. They're just a few influencers.
Yep.
Yeah, that's like Taylor Swift.
The Bolsheviks.
She's going down. But we just have to continue on. There's the only reason they've won is because we gave up.
Well,
metal. Oh yeah, you're correct.
Heavy metal, you see, is the one group they tried to infiltrate.
And they didn't.
The heavy metal people just said, fuck off, we're not interested. Oh, we're going to shame you. Don't care. We don't do it for you. We've always been shat on by society.
Yeah, so
40 years, people in metal have been, the outcasts of society. And
just another moral panic.
Still don't care. Still the best, the best-selling, long-running music genre, because it's not about selling huge numbers now, but
it's about having fun.
No, and
it's actually the only. John,
it's also
metal,
about selling year after year after year in steady quantities.
It's persistent. Metal is actually the only rock genre that has survived. There's no other rock genre that.
See you later, Alicia. Thank you very much. I do hope to talk to you pretty soon about the thing about the education bit, because I do believe there's something really important in that one.
Yeah, there is.
Well, I must admit, I've been wanting to talk about the whole education thing for a while.
Maybe we should.
Thank you for having me. I really wanted to be on this because I'm an insider. I knew all about it, and I liked it. So
and you're the only one. You educated it. Well, you educated me. I can't speak for the others. Me?
No, same here. I didn't. That's why I invited her.
I think my video did a good job because I actually had the pictures of the characters with their names on it, so that people would know what they were and what they were doing.
I told you yesterday, we're going to talk about it today.
Yep. It's true, and I appreciate it, so I'm glad that I...
Raven and Mod won't take all the credit you want. I'm the one who actually gave her the story in the first place.
He did. He knows. So I've been working on this presentation for, like, oh God, it's been 2 weeks now, and it's starting to drive me a little crazy. And so yesterday I told him, I had said the day before, I got to get out of video. I just need a video. I need to shit out a video. And he's like, did you see this? And I go, oh my God, I know all about that show. I can do a video real quick. It was just one of those like where you're like, oh good, I can talk about something real quick, so it buys me more time, because I spent a lot of time on my next video. I've spent so much time on it. And I'm like, I need more time. I don't want to rush it. I want to have all the bits in there. So it should be good. We'll see. Usually when I think a video is going to be good, it doesn't do well. So, whatever.
Oh, anyway, people have no taste.
People, I am sorry. I am going to do the same as Alicia does. Yeah. And that is...
Modway needs an early night.
Early night, fucking hell. It's 1:30
already.
1
in the morning, an early night, but he does.
Yeah. So I'd like to thank you all for coming. I'd like to thank you all for joining. I am very sorry for the fucked up little bit in the middle. But
people seem to enjoy that more than the rest of it.
Well, Michael is really adamant that we try this StreamYard thing because, according to him, it will stop having this sort of problems, and he might be right. So we need to look into it. Well, I need to look into this. But anyone has anything interesting to say?
No, never.
Okay. Anxious Aussie is saying that Suit is back, Alicia. Did Alicia?
Yeah, Suit Yourself. He finally got up and running. I'm really excited because Suit Yourself and I actually spent a couple months working on a project when his computer crashed, and Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of sucks. But I'm glad he's back up and running, so hopefully we can rebuild what we were working on.
That would
He
be
has
cool.
he's the Australian dude with the animations, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
he does amazing animations.
Yeah.
He's really good. So I'm really
He
happy.
should do a great one of Initian.
I should do some music for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. He always has him in his skits. It's so funny.
He gets kicked off of YouTube. Like, I think he's been kicked off like 6 times.
Really?
So, very controversial.
I didn't think he was that controversial, to be honest.
Well, of course. It's not, okay.
Well, he's
it's always
talking
comes down to
against
saying
Islam for one.
Yeah.
So
everybody. He talks against everybody.
Anyway, before we start all over again,
Yeah.
thank you
Good
all
night,
for
everyone.
joining
Good night,
us.
everybody.
And we hope to see you all on Saturday. Everyone out there is going to be a new stream channel. It's already been set up, but we're going to test it. So within a few weeks, you will all be notified of the new stream channel of the Old Farts, and this stream will also then move to the new channel. I'm not telling you anything else. I'm merely telling you that. And I'd like to thank you all for joining us, and I hope to see you all next week. And this is where I'm going to end the stream.